Good evening, YouTube. It is evening now. Yes, it is. So, once again, I have things to rant about that I will probably upset some people about, I'm sure. But again, it's only my opinions. Like, I'm not speaking for everybody. I don't speak for everybody, to be honest. I never have to. But I like to speak my mind, and I like to speak about the things that wind me up or annoy me or whatever. So, one of the things that I would like to talk about that's been on my mind again for a while is that in this country, in the United Kingdom, especially up in the north of England, where I am based and where all of my gigs happen, there has been a culture, I would guess, ever since I started gigging, where punters want the same old thing. And I find that very strange. And some venues also want the same old thing. And I find it very confusing and very weird and very just strange. So, even going back to when I first moved to Yorkshire, which was just approaching the summer of 2003. So, going back a few years. And I made mates with a kid. My best friend at school, Liam Maiden, and his dad used to play in bands and took us out to watch bands in a working men's club. Turns out we actually probably shouldn't have even been in there, but he managed to blag us in. But anyway, so and we saw Wizkid, first ever club band I ever saw, phenomenal. And then literally the week after or a week after that, like within a couple of weeks, I saw Guns N' Oatcakes. And I was like, this is just the coolest thing ever. And obviously, blah, 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 joined the band a few years later and all that. But that's not what we're talking about. So after this, when I joined that band, I obviously started getting to know guys that were in bands. And I started to frequent Bellhouse Road Club in Sheffield. I used to go with my mum, and I used to go and watch a lot of the bands that were on, and I got to make some very, long-lasting friendships and some good mates doing that. But one of the things that I noticed in that club, particularly at the time, was there was this absolute obsession that, a lot of the same crowds would go in, and they would all ask the bands for the same songs. which I used to find really strange. They would always want Whole Lot of Rosie. They would always want, at that time, Sex on Fire was mental. They'd always want Enter Sandman. They'd always want stuff like this, Sweet Child of Mine, so on and so forth. And I used to think to myself, even bear in mind at this point, I was 15, 16 years old. And I used to think, do you not get bored? Because I find it absolutely insane. I find it insane that you have a different band in on a Friday night, on a Saturday night, on a Sunday. And yet, especially in a working men's club, when you have essentially 2 45-minute sets. Like in Tottenham, I write our set list and I average it out that songs are about 5 minutes. Most of the time that is not the case, but with us it is, because we don't chop stuff out, because we like to play everything. So that really, and at least one of those songs will be a 10-minute. So that basically gives us 8 songs, which is not a lot. But say even if you averaged it at a bit less, so your band would play 10 songs in a set, 10 or 11 songs, say that. And yet every week you want 5, 6, 7 of these songs from both sets to be the same stuff. I find that mental. So, and it's still very much like this. We played, we haven't done it in a long time, Southey Social Club in Sheffield. And we played a set, and it was some of the best stuff that we do, and we absolutely loved it. We enjoyed ourselves. And then the guy who books bands there, and I mean no disrespect to the band I'm about to mention, he literally came up to us and said, and I quote, "Can't you guys just play what Coyote do?" And I love the Coyote guys. Like, Ian used to be in our band, Gibbo, and John Oxley is one of my, he was my guitar hero when I first moved up here. And I've done a lot of depths for that band. Stu's had me in to do a lot of depths. But if you want another band to just play what Coyote do, just have Coyote be your resident band. If all of us play the same stuff, then there is no point, to be honest. There is absolutely no point whatsoever. So I find that just to be a very strange thing. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I mean, it's becoming more of the norm now, but we've been pretty well known for a long time to play long gigs. I mean, we did a gig in, it's a while ago now, but we played in the Church House in Sheffield. But why are all the gigs I'm mentioning Sheffield? But we did play a gig there in it was January in a year. January or February, something like that. Was the only gig we actually had that month. We decided to just not do any for that month. And because it was the only one that we had, we made it count. And I remember we played for about 4 hours. And, it's the longest gig I've ever done. But you can go and do a gig like that. I mean, we've got a song list of, you're looking at 70 songs, easily, something like that. Well, maybe not easily, somewhere 65 to 75, something like that. And we can go out and we can play like 30 odd of those songs. We can go play the best part of 40 songs. And you'll come off and you will get somebody who will come up to you and go, "I can't believe you didn't play this, such and such." And it makes me go mental. It makes my brain bleed out of my ears, to be honest. But, and so back to the point of what my actual video is about, okay? So, over here in England, I'll draw up a set list, I'll scribble it out before we play, and that's that. And we, and sometimes things might change on the fly depending on how people are feeling, because what the audience is responding to, whatever. But most of the time, I particularly like it in places where people just are there for the music, whatever that is, and they just enjoy what you do, and that's brilliant. We have that at quite a lot of venues, and but then there are some where this is not the case, so you have to just, as we call it, cheese out. And it does make me want to ram my head through a wall, because I can't believe some of these people just aren't sick of it. But here is the thing. So, over here, average price of a pint of beer in this country now is approaching £4. I think it's something like £3.60 something, £3.70 something. Last time I checked, it was around that anyway. It's probably even gone up from that. You can put a cover charge on a place of a £5 and people are going, That's a bit steep. But they'll pay almost that for a beer. That's weird. And also, then on the other footing, so sometimes we'll just get people they'll just, and a lot of bands get it, they'll just wang a bit of paper up on the stage that'll say, play this. Can you do this and dedicate this to such and such? Or people will come to various band members off the stage and then just say, oh, I've been asked for this. And then, most of my band feel really bad for saying, no, I don't. But it's because I'm doing the set list, just sod up and leave me alone. But I guess that's because never in my life, in, like I say, 20 odd years of going to gigs, have I gone to a gig and ever thought to myself, I'm going to ask this band to play a song I want them to play. I want to see that band play what they want to do. That's the point to me. That's, they're here to play the music that they want to play. And that's what they give the audience. I don't understand the other thing. But like I say, it's most of the time this way of thinking is a 3 on one side and me on the other kind of thing. So I know I am the weirdo in this situation. But I have a few friends that go out to Nashville quite a lot in America and various places where there is very much like a bar scene in America. And generally, at least from what I understand, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. From what I understand, you want a song, you write it down on a bit of paper and you attach it to a note of monetary value. And generally, the higher the amount of money, the more likely your song's going to get played. I don't understand why we don't have that over here. Because I tell you what, as much as Sweet Child of Mine does make me want to ram my head into a wall, if somebody attached a note with a 20 quid note and just said, play this, I'm like, all right, cool. Because, I'm a musician to make money. But, yeah, it's just a very strange thing that you can play as all of this stuff. And I've had a few altercations with people. I had a guy up in Middlesbrough once come up to me and say, we didn't know a single thing you just played then. And I went, who's we? Are you the Queen? And he looks at me funny and went, all right, me. I went, okay. You've heard him now. Go listen to him and now you know him. I know that might come across as a bit arrogant, but I find that a very strange thing to say. Like, especially when there's certain things in our set that if you're going to see a rock band and you've not really heard of Smoke on the Water and Another Brick in the Wall and things like this, then what are you doing there? It's a bit weird. Anyway, this has been me rambling some more on absolute stuff that probably not many people care about, but I like to voice my opinions on these things. The hands are doing better, by the way. It's only my right wrist now that seems to be giving me a little bit of shit. So I don't really know what it was. I probably just overextended it and overstrained something, but thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If I've upset anybody, sorry. Can't really do it about it, can I? Thank you. See you in the next one.